The snow fell like shattered glass from the heavens, thick and unrelenting, burying the world in a cold silence that muffled even the loudest sounds of the city. High above the frozen streets, in a warm penthouse of steel and glass, Damien Wolf, the 38-year-old CEO of a billion-dollar tech empire, stared blankly at his computer screen. Emails, numbers, acquisitions, nothing held his attention anymore. Not since the accident. Not since he lost her. The city called him ruthless. Brilliant, untouchable, but none of that mattered now. His success was loud, but his guilt was louder. And on this night, as he looked down at the snowstorm swirling like a ghostly sea beneath him, something inside him snapped. He grabbed his coat and walked out. No driver, no entourage. Just Damien and the storm. He didn't know where he was going. He didn't care. He only knew he had to move, to breathe something real. The cold bit into his cheeks as he walked the streets like a man who had everything and yet owned nothing that mattered. His leather shoes sunk into the growing snowdrifts, and he kept walking, letting the wind claw at him like it was trying to pull the pain from his bones. Then he saw her. She was huddled beneath a crumbling bus stop shelter, her arms wrapped tightly around a bundle of fabric. Her face was red from the cold, and her lips trembled as if they were trying to whisper something, even though no one could hear. Damien stopped. He didn't know why he stopped. He'd passed hundreds of faces over the years, broke ones, dirty ones, desperate ones, and never looked twice. But this girl was different. Not because she was beautiful, although there was something haunting about her eyes. It was the way she looked, like she didn't belong in this world. Like she was caught between fighting for life and giving up on it. He walked up to her slowly. "Are you all right?" he asked, barely hearing his own voice over the wind. The girl flinched but didn't run. She looked up at him, and there was something familiar in her gaze, something old, something shattered. Damien removed his coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. She was freezing. Her fingers were blue. "Come with me," he said. "I can get you warm." She hesitated, looking down at the bundle in her arms. It wasn't just a blanket. It was a child, no older than 3, bundled in a threadbare coat. His face pressed into her chest, unconscious or asleep. Damien's chest tightened. "We need to get you both out of this storm." She nodded slowly, like a marionette whose strings were frayed. He hailed a cab and gave his address. The driver hesitated at the sight of the girl, but drove when Damien flashed his ID. Back at the penthouse, the warmth hit them like a wave. He directed her to the guest room, and she stood stiffly, like she didn't believe the walls wouldn't collapse in on her. Damien fetched a blanket, hot tea, and called his private doctor without a second thought. Hours passed. The doctor left, assuring him the child was stable, just malnourished and cold. The girl hadn't spoken a word. Damien sat across from her in silence, studying her. She held the boy with such protectiveness, like she'd fought off a world to keep him alive. Finally she looked up. "My name's Ivy," she said softly. "And his name is Noah." Damien nodded. "I'm Damien." "I know," she whispered. He blinked. "You do?" She hesitated, then reached into the worn bag at her side and pulled out a photograph. It was old, creased, stained with tears. In the photo was a woman, beautiful, laughing, eyes like fire. And in her arms was a baby. The woman was Damien's sister. And the baby was him, my mother. Was Emily Wolf. The words hit him like thunder. He shook his head slowly. "That's not possible. Emily died over 20 years ago." "She didn't," Ivy whispered. "Not right away. She ran. She was scared. Pregnant again. She had me in hiding." Damien's head spun. "That can't be. I would have known. She would have told me." "She tried," Ivy's voice cracked. "She wrote letters, but they never reached you. After she died, I was only 10. I went through foster care. I tried to find you, but you were too far away, too unreachable." His body went still. "Why didn't you say anything before?" Because I didn't know what you'd do. I didn't want your money. I just wanted to survive, to keep Noah safe. Damien stared at her. His heart, frozen for so long, cracked open. In that moment, he didn't see a homeless girl. He saw family, blood, a girl who had grown up believing no one would come for her, a nephew who had never known warmth, and a sister who had died alone, her truth lost in a storm of secrets. He stood up, then sat beside her, unsure of what to do next. Why now? Why were you out there tonight? Her eyes filled with tears, the kind that came from exhaustion, hunger, and hopelessness. I had nowhere left to go. I was trying to get to a shelter, but the storm, it was too much. And Noah hadn't eaten in 2 days. She looked at him, eyes burning. I didn't want to die out there, but more than that, I didn't want him to. Then she whispered the words that broke his heart. I thought maybe, if this was the end, someone would find us. And maybe then, you'd know I existed. The silence that followed was endless. Damien felt like the floor had disappeared beneath him. How could he have missed this? How had the world, with all its resources, let this happen? His world, his sister's daughter, his nephew. He took a long breath. It's not the end, Ivy. She looked at him uncertainly. He placed his hand gently on Noah's back, then looked at her. You're home now, and I'm not letting either of you go again. From that night forward, everything changed. Damien didn't just take them in. He changed his company policies, investing millions into housing programs and emergency shelters for single mothers and children. He used his voice, his wealth, and his power not to build towers, but to build safety nets. Ivy slowly began to trust again. She took therapy, went back to school, and Damien helped her every step of the way. Noah started to smile more, laugh more. He clung to Damien like a second father. The storm had brought them together, but what truly kept them together was truth, healing, and the promise that no one would be left out in the cold again. And at the end of every long day, when Damien walked past that same old photo of his sister holding him as a baby, he no longer felt grief. He felt purpose, because out of the storm, he found family. And from heartbreak, he found redemption.